My beloved child, there are things you thought were merely memories of the past. Yet, in my eyes, they are the deep layers I have quietly built within you. Before you even realized it, I was leading you through journeys not to exhaust you, but to establish you in strength. You have walked through trials that seemed impossible to overcome, and yet you are still here, not by your own strength, but because my hand has never let go of you. As it is written, when you pass through the waters, I will be with you, and when you pass through the rivers, they will not sweep over you. When you walk through the fire, you will not be burned. Isaiah 43:2. Do you see now what you call survival? I call preservation. Then there comes a moment when you can no longer return to who you once were. Not because you are unwilling, but because I have changed the rhythm of your steps. You no longer belong to the hidden place where you only learn to endure and to wait. I am bringing you into the light not for you to prove anything, but for you to stand in the position I prepared for you long ago. Just as a light cannot be hidden under a bowl, your life can no longer remain concealed. You are the light of the world. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Matthew 5:14-15. What I have placed within you has come to its appointed time to be revealed, not through display, but through authentic presence. But my child, what I am opening before you is not merely abundance for you to enjoy. It is a current with direction and purpose. What comes to you is not meant to stop with you. It flows through you, like living water streaming from the heart of one who trusts in me. Whoever believes in me, rivers of living water will flow from within them. John 7:38. If you hold it back, the flow will cease. But if you open yourself, you will see it expand, reaching places even you could not foresee. You are not called to store up, but to become a vessel through which it flows. There may be moments when you look around and see nothing clearly. What I am doing does not always align with your expectations, but you must understand this. I do not operate according to changing circumstances, nor am I governed by your emotions. Everything I do unfolds within a plan already established. For I know the plans I have for you, plans for peace. Jeremiah 29:11. This means that even when you do not understand, you can still trust. Even when you cannot see, you can still move forward. Remember Joseph, the one who was thrown into a pit, sold into slavery, and forgotten in prison. To the natural eye, his journey appeared to be a series of failures, but I do not see as humans see. I was weaving a path that even he could not fully perceive. When the appointed time came, I lifted him up not only to save a family, but to preserve an entire nation. And Joseph said, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good." Genesis 50:20. Do you see? What matters is not what happens to you, but what I am accomplishing through it all. So do not let your heart grow hardened because of what has passed. Do not carry burdens I never asked you to hold. Your past no longer has the authority to define you, and fear has no right to direct your future. I am calling you to walk with a different posture, gentle yet not weak, humble yet not timid. For what I entrust to you is not only blessing, but also stewardship. Whoever is faithful in little will also be faithful in much. Luke 16:10. You are being prepared for greater things, and how you guard your heart today will determine how you carry them tomorrow. There is something you must firmly inscribe within your heart when you walk. You do not walk alone. Your footsteps carry my imprint. There will be those who do not understand you, yet they will sense that something about you is different, not because you strive to become extraordinary, but because my presence is flowing through you. And it is this very presence that will open doors you could never open by your own strength, not by might nor by power, but by my Spirit, says the Lord. Zechariah 4:6. Therefore, my beloved child, continue to move forward neither in haste nor in hesitation. Guard your heart in trust, for I do not lead you into confusion. Everything I am doing carries intention, and every step you take holds meaning. When you live in this way, you will begin to see that your life is not merely a personal journey, but a part of a greater story, one in which I am writing goodness not only for you, but through you, for many others. My beloved, there are days when you look back and feel as though you have been left behind, as if everything around you is advancing while you remain still. But I tell you the truth, not a single step of yours has been out of rhythm. What is taking place is not your delay, but the removal of what no longer belongs to you. The doors that have closed were not meant to block you, but to reshape your path. For I do not lead you through haste, but through precision, a precision in which every moment is measured. As it is written, the Lord makes firm the steps of the one who delights in him. Psalm 37:23. You are not lost, you are being led. And within this journey that seems to slow down, I have been doing something deeper than what you can see. You may think you have grown weaker as you face limitations, fatigue, and moments when you no longer have the strength to hold yourself together. But I do not call that weakness. I call it the process of making you strong from within, not a strength that is displayed outwardly, but one that takes root in the deepest places of your soul. As it is written, my power is made perfect in weakness. 2 Corinthians 12:9. When you no longer rely on yourself, you begin to stand upon my foundation. Consider David during the years he fled through the wilderness. Before wearing the crown, he carried seasons of being pursued, misunderstood, and pushed to the margins. To the natural eye, it appeared to be an unnecessary delay. Yet I used those very years to form a king, one who would not only know how to prevail, but how to depend. When he finally ascended the throne, he did not possess power alone, but maturity. Do you see? I do not hastily entrust you with greater things when what is within you is not yet steady enough to sustain them. So each time you overcome an old wound, it is not merely recovery. You are being opened into a new layer of strength. What once caused you to fall now becomes the ground upon which you stand higher. Every time you rise again, even when your heart is weary and your mind is heavy, you do not return to the same place. You step onto another level. And each time you choose to trust me instead of letting fear govern you, you are establishing something more unshakable within yourself. Though the righteous fall 7 times, they rise again. Proverbs 24:16. Not because they never fall, but because they never remain there. I do not look at you through the moments when you stumble. I see you through the process I am leading you through. And that process is no longer the same as before. A shift has taken place, quiet, yet unmistakable in my sight. You have stepped into another level, where collisions no longer cause you to lose direction, but become signs that you are drawing closer to something greater. Just as strong waves often signal that the shore is near, the conflicts you face are not obstacles, but indicators. Remember the journey of the Israelites as they approached the Promised Land. It was precisely when they faced the greatest strongholds, the challenges that seemed impossible to overcome, that they were closest to the promise. Be strong and courageous, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. Joshua 1-9. The promise does not arrive when everything is easy. Rather, when everything demands a deeper faith, you are standing at the threshold. So do not interpret what is happening through old fears. Do not assume that tension or trials are signs that you are on the wrong path. There are times when pressure itself is evidence that you are moving in the right direction. I am teaching you not to react according to emotion, but to discern according to the Spirit. When you learn this, you will no longer be shaken by what is happening outwardly, because you will understand what is unfolding within. My beloved child, what I am doing in you is not merely repairing what is broken, but elevating you to a dimension you have never lived in before. I am not only restoring you, I am repositioning you. And where you are being brought is no longer a place where you struggle just to survive, but a place where you are established to influence. The Lord will make you the head, not the tail, Deuteronomy 28-13, but to stand in that position, you must first be transformed from within. Keep your heart in stillness and trust. What I am completing does not require noise to prove itself. It will reveal itself in its appointed time, and when you look back, you will understand. Nothing was delayed. Everything was arranged with precision, down to each breath. My beloved, quiet your heart and recognize this. What you call trials were never sent to destroy you, but to establish your place within the order I have ordained. No seed rises without first resting in the darkness of the soil, and no life becomes steadfast without facing the pressure of opposing winds. What you have gone through is not meaningless erosion, but a process of formation. As it is written, unless a grain of wheat falls into the earth and dies, it remains alone, but if it dies, it bears much fruit. John 12:24. Do you see? It is in the places that seem like burial that life begins to be conceived. I have seen you in the days when you yourself did not recognize that you were changing. When you thought you were exhausted, I saw you becoming deeper. When you believed you were losing something, I saw you being expanded. The collisions you encountered were not meant to wound you forever, but to teach you discernment, to help you distinguish what is true from what merely appears to be true. Let the wise listen and add to their learning. Proverbs 1:5. You have learned, not through theory, but through life itself. And in the seasons when you feel a lack, you have not been abandoned. I am teaching you how to see clearly, how to no longer depend on external things to define your worth. Absence itself can become a light that reveals what is truly necessary. When all the noise settles, you begin to hear my voice. As it is written, be still, and know that I am God. Psalm 46:10. Silence is not an empty void. It is the place where I speak in a deeper way. Remember Elijah when he fled and believed himself to be alone. He expected to find me in the strong wind, in the earthquake, in the fire. Yet I was not in those loud manifestations. I came to him in a gentle whisper, and in that place, I restored him, realigned him, and sent him forward again. 1 Kings 19. Do you see? I do not always reveal myself through outward displays of power. Often, I choose stillness to reach the deepest places within you. You have walked through days when it seemed impossible to remain standing. Yet those very days have formed a foundation you never had before. What you call delay, I call preparation. For a great blessing cannot rest upon a weak foundation. A soul that has not been refined cannot sustain what carries weight. After you have suffered a little while, God Himself will restore you and make you strong, firm, and steadfast. 1 Peter 5:10. You are becoming one who can carry what I am about to entrust, not only to receive it, but to hold it and to release it. There are moments when you feel set apart, as though you no longer belong anywhere. But you must understand this. You are not being rejected. You are being separated. I am leading you out of old paths, places that were familiar but are no longer fitting for you. You are not lost. You are being guided into depth. I will lead the blind by ways they have not known. Isaiah 42:16. When you can no longer see clearly with your eyes, you begin to learn how to walk by trust. You have never been alone in those seasons. Even when you could not see, my presence was still surrounding you. There were times you thought you were about to break, Yet you did not realize that I was holding you up in that very moment. The angel of the Lord encamps around those who fear him, and he delivers them. Psalm 34:7. Protection is not always visible, but it has never been absent. If I had not preserved you, you would not still be standing here. And because I have kept you through every stage of that journey, I am now beginning to open something new, no longer a phase of mere endurance, but a phase of release. Yet you must understand, this release is not an uncontrolled outburst, but the expression of a life that has been carefully prepared. What I entrust to you is not merely a reward, but a stewardship. And you, through all that you have walked through, are becoming worthy to carry it. So, my beloved child, do not take lightly what you have endured. Do not assume that the dark seasons were meaningless. It was there that I laid the foundation for the light that is coming. Continue forward not with the fear of former days, but with the conviction that you have been positioned, and as you walk, you will see nothing is random. Everything is leading you to the right place, at the right time, and into the role I prepared for you from the beginning. My beloved child, there are paths where you feel as though you have been blocked, as if every direction has been closed before you. But I want you to understand that this is not the end of your journey, it is a redirection. When you are pressed into a place where your familiar options no longer remain, it is in that very moment that I am opening another way. More hidden, deeper, reserved only for those who have been refined through the layers you have walked through. Not everyone can recognize that door, because not everyone has been prepared as you have. As it is written, what he opens no one can shut. Revelation 3:7. And the doors I open do not come from convenience, but from the maturity formed within you. Do not be quick to interpret what has left your life as loss. Look through the light I have given you, and you will realize that certain connections had to be released so you would no longer be held back in former levels. What did not come to pass is not failure, but protection. If I had allowed everything to unfold according to your desire, you would have been bound to things that were not strong enough to carry you further. In all things, God works for the good of those who love him. Romans 8:28. Even what you do not understand, I am still using to shape a better path. There are seasons when you feel dry, as though there is no more resource, no more motivation, no more sign of life. Yet it is precisely in those seasons that I am teaching you to no longer depend on what is temporary. I am pruning you not to wound you, but to make you bear something more enduring. Every branch that bears fruit he prunes, so that it will be even more fruitful. John 15:2. You are not abandoned in the dryness. You are being prepared to carry a life that does not depend on circumstances. Remember the journey of Gideon. When I called him from a hidden place, at a time when he was hiding in fear, he did not see himself as strong, nor did he believe he was capable. Yet I called him a mighty warrior, even before he recognized it within himself. Judges 6. I reduced his army not to weaken him, but so that he would not rely on numbers, but on me. And it was in that limitation that victory was revealed more clearly. Do you see? At times I remove what seems like an advantage in order to reveal true power. You once thought you were becoming weaker as you faced your own limitations, but I see you becoming stronger in places your eyes cannot perceive. Each time you rise when you feel you have no strength left, you do not merely return to where you were, you are lifted higher. Each time you choose to trust me amidst voices of doubt, you are engraving a firmer foundation within your soul. The righteous shall live by faith. Romans 1:17. Strength is not found only when you see clearly, but when you continue to believe, even when you do not. You are growing. I do not measure you by the moments when you stumble. I see the entire process I am carrying out within you, and that process is no longer in its former stage. A shift has taken place, quiet, yet certain. You have stepped into a new level, where conflicts no longer derail you, but become signs that you are drawing closer to what I have promised. Just as the stirring of the sea often signals a changing season, the pressures you are facing are not obstacles, but indicators. Remember the journey of Paul, who was many times hindered in ways he did not understand. There were moments when he desired to go into a certain region, yet I did not permit him. There were times when he was held back, delayed in ways he could not explain. But then I opened another way, a call in the night that led him to Macedonia, where a great door was opened. Acts 16. Do you see? What I restrain is not to slow you down, but to guide you into the very place I have prepared. Therefore, my beloved child, stop viewing your journey through the lens of loss or delay. See it instead as precise guidance. Everything that is unfolding has its place within the plan I have written. No step is wasted. No moment is without meaning. And as you continue to walk forward, you will come to realize that the things which once confused you now stand as evidence of my faithfulness. Keep your heart soft and anchored in trust, for where you are standing now is no longer a place of hesitation, but a place where preparation has reached completion. And what is coming is not something small, it is a breakthrough that has long been formed, now waiting for the appointed moment to be revealed through you. My beloved, pause for a moment and observe carefully what is taking place around you, not with natural sight, but with the deeper discernment I have placed within your heart. You will begin to see that it is not the world around you that is changing, but that you yourself have been lifted into another level. When your inner foundation shifts, the external environment must inevitably adjust. As it is written, do not conform to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Romans 12:2. For when your mind is renewed, the way you see and the way you walk will no longer remain the same. The things that once caused you to tremble no longer hold authority over you, not because they have disappeared, but because you no longer stand in the same position where they could shake you. There were temptations that once called your name with familiar whispers, drawing you back into old paths. But now they feel distant, not because they have ceased to exist, but because your identity has been repositioned. When I lift you, no force can pull you back into the former level. For if God is for us, who can be against us? Romans 8:31. You are no longer one who struggles merely to survive each trial. You are one who has been positioned to rise above them. What once stood as barriers has now become a platform. What once pressed against you has become the very force that propels you forward. And this does not come from your effort, but from the position I have established for you. I am declaring my authority over your very identity, that you are no longer defined by what you have been through, but by what I have spoken over you from the beginning. As it is written, the Lord will make you the head and not the tail. You shall be above and not beneath. Deuteronomy 28:13. This is not a distant promise. It is a reality that is now taking form within you. You are no longer one trying to escape a former season. You are one stepping into a new standard, where what once tested you now serves your growth. Remember Esther, who once thought she was merely a young woman placed in the palace under circumstances she did not choose. Yet I positioned her not to live an ordinary life, but to stand at a near-dying moment for an entire people. When she recognized her true position, she no longer viewed herself through her former lens. And who knows but that you have come to your royal position for such a time as this? Esther 4:14. Do you see? There are positions I place you in not for your comfort, but for you to recognize the weight you are carrying. Therefore, do not diminish yourself any longer. You once thought you were simply trying to keep yourself from falling apart. But I tell you this, I have placed you on the front line of a movement far greater than you imagined. What I have given you is not merely to meet personal needs, but as resources for you to build to open pathways, and to influence. You are the light of the world, Matthew 5:14. Light does not exist to be hidden. It exists to illuminate. But to walk in this, you must change the way you see yourself. You cannot continue using the lens of a former season to define the person I am now forming. You are no longer one limited by lack or fear. You are becoming a steward of the flow I am pouring out, a flow not meant for you alone, but through you, to reach many others. Whoever is faithful in little will also be entrusted with much. Luke 16:10. You have been tested, and now you are being elevated. My beloved, perceive this clearly. You are carrying a greater spiritual weight than you have ever realized. This is not to burden you, but to make you steadfast. When you understand where you stand, you will no longer walk in hesitation, but in conviction. When you know who you are in me, you will no longer seek recognition, but become a source of influence. So walk as one who has been lifted, speak as one who knows their voice carries weight, live as one who has been positioned with purpose. What I am doing in you is no longer mere preparation, it is establishment. And what I establish cannot be shaken. As it is written, those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. Isaiah 40:31. You are no longer crawling through former days. You are being raised to fly. My beloved, let me remind you of the journey you have walked, not for you to look back with weariness, but to recognize what I have been quietly accomplishing within you all along. There were days when you stood in the midst of adversity, your heart uncertain of direction, as though everything around you opposed your steps. Yet you did not retreat. You thought you were being drained, but in my sight, that was when you were being sharpened to precision. For it is when you no longer rely on emotion that you begin to stand upon deeper discernment. As it is written, be still, and know that I am God. Psalm 46:10. And in those very moments of stillness, I was reshaping the way you listen so that from now on, you will no longer be led by the noise of circumstances, but by my gentle yet authoritative voice. Do you remember those moments when every resource seemed to slip from your hands? When you had to face lack without any clear explanation? You thought it was emptiness. Yet, I was using it to awaken a deeper awareness within you. When you could no longer rely on what was familiar, you began to see more clearly what was truly necessary. The collisions you encountered were not meant to wound you permanently, but to teach you discernment so that you would no longer be deceived by things that merely resemble truth. Let the wise listen and add to their learning. Proverbs 1:5. And you have learned, not through empty words, but through your own lived experience. Remember Samuel as a child in the temple. When he heard a voice, he did not at first recognize as mine. Through patience and guidance, he learned to discern and to respond. Speak, Lord, for your servant is listening. 1 Samuel 3:10. Do you see? Learning to hear my voice does not come through noise, but through stillness and willingness. And you, through the seasons you thought were prolonged silence, have been taught to listen in a deeper, clearer, and truer way. There were nights when you thought you were left alone, as though no one understood or walked with you. But I tell you this truth, you have never been abandoned. When you felt most lost, it was not because you were going astray, but because I was drawing you away from familiar paths, those worn roads that, if you had continued on them, would never have led you to what I have prepared. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Psalm 23:4. My presence does not depend on your feelings. It is an unchanging reality. You are not being separated from where you belong. You are being set apart from what no longer aligns with you. There are connections that must be released, not because they were wrong, but because they are no longer fitting for the level you are entering. I am not pushing you away. I am positioning you into a new place, where you can carry what I am about to entrust. Just as Abraham had to leave his familiar homeland to step into a promise he had never seen. By faith, Abraham obeyed when he was called to go to a place he would later receive as his inheritance. Hebrews 11:8. You, too, are walking such a journey not by full understanding, but by trust. My beloved child, understand that everything you have gone through is not a collection of meaningless fragments. They are layers of foundation laid with intention. I have held you in moments when you thought you were about to break. I have lifted you when you did not even realize you were being raised. And because I have preserved you through every stage, I am now preparing to release you into a new phase, a phase no longer defined by endurance alone, but by expression. So do not be afraid of what lies ahead. You are no longer the same person who first stepped into this journey. You have been changed, formed, and renewed. Walk forward with the conviction that you are not alone, that you are not moving in darkness, and that you are not carrying anything beyond what you are able to bear. For I, who have led you through every passage, will also lead you into the place I have appointed at the right time, in the right way, and in alignment with who you have become. My beloved child, recognize that what is gradually unfolding before your eyes is not a series of random events drifting into your life, but the sign of a calling that has long awaited you within the flow of eternity. The doors that are opening and the resources that are being awakened are not meant to make your path easy, but to place into your hands the responsibility I have already appointed. For great blessing does not come to lighten you, but to shape you into one who can carry it with worthiness. I have not rushed your preparation. I have led you through quiet seasons, unseen by others, to refine you from within. As it is written, whoever is faithful in very little is also faithful in much. Luke 16:10. And you have proven this through the smallest details that the world never noticed. Remember the days when you stood without answers, when all that remained within you was a quiet perseverance. You prayed when no one seemed to hear. You rose when no one was there to lift you. You kept moving when there was no sign of what lay ahead. Yet I saw everything. Not a single moment passed unnoticed before me. God is not unjust. He will not forget your work and the love you have shown him. Hebrews 6:10. What you thought had fallen into emptiness has, in truth, been gathered into a foundation, one strong enough to lift you into the level you are about to enter. Consider Nehemiah, who did not begin with recognition or power, but with a burdened heart over ruins. He prayed in silence, waited for the right moment, and when the door opened, he did not merely step through, he rebuilt an entire city. Do you see? What I am preparing within you is not for a fleeting moment, but for a work of lasting significance. And what you have gone through was not meant to exhaust you, but to make you ready. Therefore, do not fear as you step into this new season. Fear has no place when you understand that everything has been arranged. Nothing you have walked through has been lost. The years you spent contending in silence, the tears you kept hidden, the times you forced yourself to rise when everything tried to pull you down, all of it remains, preserved by me as foundational stones. You have kept count of my wanderings, put my tears in your bottle. Psalm 56:8. You have not been forgotten, and your journey has never been without meaning. Now you stand at the threshold of a transformation. The season of testing has fulfilled its purpose. What once caused you pain is no longer an open wound, but has become new skin, stronger, thicker, no longer easily broken as before. What once confused you has become evidence that I was there, guiding you through every part you did not understand. And what once tested you has now shaped you, Step into this new chapter with a vision that has been illuminated. You no longer walk as one, feeling your way through the dark, but as one who has been shown the path. Your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. Psalm 119 to 105. And as you move forward, you will come to understand something profound. Your past has not disappeared, it has been transformed. What you have been through is no longer a burden, but the very material that lifts you higher. My beloved child, be ready. What is coming is not a simple continuation, but an entirely new unfolding. And you, yes, you are the one who has been prepared to step into it, not with hesitation, but with conviction. For I, who have led you through everything before, I am the same one, now positioning you into the destiny I have written for you from the beginning. My beloved, understand this deeply within your heart. I do not lift you up so that you may return to the old paths with their former limitations. I raise you to step into another level, a realm where you are no longer defined by your circumstances, but where your very presence begins to shape and influence the atmosphere around you. This does not come from your striving, nor is it the result of your effort, but the outcome of my placement. And when I position you, no force can overturn it. As it is written, He makes my feet like the feet of a deer. He causes me to stand on the heights. Psalm 18:33. This is not merely a geographical elevation, but a positioning of perception, authority, and expanded vision. From that place, you will begin to see everything differently, not because the world has suddenly changed, but because you are no longer seeing through your former eyes. When your inner nature is renewed, the external world adjusts according to how you perceive and engage with it. What once stirred fear within you no longer touches the same point of weakness. The voices of temptation that once carried weight begin to fade. The limitations that once held you back no longer possess the power to restrain you. As it is written, if anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. The old has passed away. Behold, all things have become new. 2 Corinthians 5:17. You are not merely changed outwardly, you are now operating within an entirely different reality. But you must also understand this more deeply. When I elevate you, I entrust you with a responsibility that corresponds to that level, not to burden you, but to align you with what you have become. For a higher position not only gives you a broader vision, but also requires a steadier heart. Remember Joshua. When I called him to succeed Moses, he was no longer the one who followed, he had to stand at the front, leading an entire people. And I said to him, be strong and courageous, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. Joshua 1:9. Do you see? A new position always comes with a deeper presence, but it also requires a clearer maturity. Consider Esther, who once believed she was merely a small part within a larger context she did not fully understand. Yet, at the appointed time, she realized that her position was not the result of chance. And who knows but that you have come to your royal position for such a time as this? Esther 4:14. When she stepped into her role, not only was her life changed, an entire nation was delivered. So it is with you. You have not been placed where you are simply to exist from day to day. You have been positioned to influence, to open pathways, and to bring light into places overshadowed by darkness. Therefore, do not shrink back into your former posture. Do not continue to see yourself as one merely trying to get through each day. You have already come through. Now you are called to rise above, to live with the awareness of where you stand and what has been entrusted to you. The trials you once faced no longer define you. They have become the ground upon which you now stand higher. The Lord will make you the head, not the tail. Deuteronomy 28:13. This is not a statement to comfort you. It is the reality I am leading you into. Recognize this. You are carrying within you a greater spiritual weight than you have ever realized. It is revealed in the way you see, the way you choose, the way you remain steady when everything around you is unstable. And because you have been lifted, you will begin to notice that change no longer comes from external pressure, but flows outward from within you. Light does not strive to shine, it simply radiates from its nature. You are the light of the world, Matthew 5:14. And you, when you live in alignment with what I have placed within you, will become that very source of light. Therefore, my beloved child, walk in this new awareness. Do not return to old ways of thinking. Do not lower yourself back into limitations that no longer fit who you are. You have been lifted not to observe from a distance, but to act with a vision that has been opened to you. And as you walk in this way, you will see that the places you enter are no longer the same as before, because you are no longer the person you once were. I have placed you here, and where I place you is where you are destined to shine and to fulfill what I have entrusted to you. My beloved, perceive that the shift I am working within you is no longer made of small steps, where you simply hold my hand to pass through narrow paths. I am still there, still near, still guiding you. Yet at the same time, I am bringing you into another position, the position of a co-laborer. You are no longer only a receiver, you are becoming a bearer. You are no longer only being led, you are being trusted to move with me in things that are more alive, more dynamic. As it is written, we are co-workers with God, 1 Corinthians 3:9. This is not merely a title, but a reality I am forming within you. You will begin to see that what I have placed within you no longer serves only to soothe old wounds. I have healed you so that you are no longer bound by your past. But I do not stop there. I am preparing you to stand in places where pressure no longer unsettles you, but becomes the very environment through which what I have placed in you is revealed. For when pressure increases, what is true within you is brought forth. We are hard-pressed on every side, but not crushed. 2 Corinthians 4:8. You were not created to break under pressure, but to be expressed through it. There will be moments when you realize that even a single word you speak, not because of volume, but because of authority, can shift the atmosphere around you. This does not come from your power of persuasion, but from my presence within you. Just as when Ezekiel was sent to speak to the dry bones, he did not speak from emotion, but from what I commanded. And as he spoke, life began to return to what seemed dead, Ezekiel 37. Do you see? When your words are aligned with my will, they are no longer mere sound, they become a current of life. But to walk in this, you must understand this clearly. You are not only called to receive what I give, but to steward it. Blessing is not a destination, it is a resource. I do not pour into you for you to keep, but for you to direct according to the purpose I have ordained. Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over a few things. I will make you ruler over many things. Matthew 25:21. You are stepping into a season where your faithfulness is no longer only being tested, it is beginning to be entrusted with authority. Remember Joseph, the one who was not only given the wisdom to interpret dreams, but was also entrusted with authority to govern an entire land in a time of crisis. He did not merely receive revelation, he administered it. And through that stewardship, life was sustained for many. So it is with you. What I have placed within you is not only for you to understand, but for you to build, to distribute, and to lead. My beloved child, I am shaping you to stand firm even when everything around you becomes more intense. Not so that you must strain, but so that you may stand in a deep and abiding peace. For the one who stands firm is not the one without pressure, but the one who is not shaken by it. The peace of God will guard your hearts and your minds. Philippians 4-7. And from that place of peace, you will act with clarity. Therefore, receive this new identity not with pride, but with awareness. You are no longer only one who is led step by step. You are becoming one who, with me, carries life into dry places, brings light into darkness, and releases a flow where there is thirst. And as you walk in that awareness, you will see that your life no longer revolves around survival, but around expression. Walk in that steadiness, my child, for I am not only beside you, I am working through you. And this is what I have prepared for you long ago. My beloved, hear me clearly in this moment, to stand firm in the place where I have positioned you. You must learn to release what has long held your heart, fear. You cannot hold on to anxiety and at the same time walk in the authority I have given you. These two cannot dwell together within the same heart. Authority flows from awareness, while fear is born from doubt. And I am no longer calling you to live in doubt. As it is written, for God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. 2 Timothy 1:7. You were not created to tremble before circumstances, but to stand steady within them. Understand this deeply. Steadiness does not come from the absence of fear, but from no longer allowing fear to determine your direction. When you know to whom you belong, you will no longer be shaken by what surrounds you, like a child standing in the house of their father. There is no need to strive for recognition. It already knows its place. The Spirit Himself bears witness with our spirit that we are children of God. Romans 8:16. You do not need to prove your worth. You only need to receive what I have already placed within you. The mark you carry is not something you create through effort or by proving yourself to others. It is something I have placed upon your life, a mark that cannot be duplicated, cannot be taken away, and does not require validation from the world. When you truly recognize this, you will no longer chase after approval. You will no longer strain to prove that you are enough. You will simply be present at the right place, at the right time, aligned with who I have created you to be, and the light will reveal itself. Let your light shine before others. Matthew 5:16. Not by force, but by nature. Remember Daniel, who lived within an environment filled with pressure and opposition. He did not strive to prove himself different. He simply lived in alignment with what I had placed within him. And it was that consistency that made him stand out, not because he sought position, but because he remained true to his identity. When he stood firm, even kings were compelled to recognize the power that was with him. Daniel 6. Do you see? True light does not need promotion. It shines on its own in the darkness. My beloved child, I am not calling you to step into this season with the mindset of one still haunted by the past or constrained by perceived imperfections. I am calling you to step in with the conviction of one who knows they belong to me. When you walk in that awareness, you will discover something remarkable. You do not need to strive to carry authority. You simply need to stop rejecting it. Authority is not something you achieve. It is something you accept. Therefore, release. Fear not by denying its presence, but by no longer agreeing with it. When fear arises, you do not need to fight it by your own strength. You simply return to the truth I have spoken. Do not fear, for I am with you. Isaiah 41:10. My presence does not merely comfort you, it establishes your position. Walk as one who has been marked, not by the world, but by heaven. Live as one who has been placed not to search for a place, but to fill the place already given. And as you live this way, you will realize that you no longer need to prove anything. Your very life will become the testimony. My beloved, as you step into the new ground I have opened before you, keep your heart in watchfulness and humility, for my purpose has never been for you to exalt yourself. I do not raise you up so that the eyes of others may rest upon you, but so that through your life my light may be revealed more clearly. What I place into your hands is not for accumulation, but a flow for you to learn to steward. Everything you receive carries responsibility, the responsibility to multiply it, to extend it, and to let it reach the places I have ordained. As it is written, I chose you and appointed you, so that you might go and bear fruit, fruit that will last. John 15:16. You are not called to hold what is temporary, but to build what endures. Remember the parable of the talents, where the master entrusted each servant with a portion not for them to hide in fear, but to multiply according to what was given. The one who held back out of fear lost the opportunity, but the one who stepped forward in trust caused what was entrusted to increase. Matthew 25:14-30. Do you see? What I seek in you is not perfection in every step, but a heart that dares to say yes and to act. For obedience creates movement, while hesitation keeps you in the same place. You may not yet see the full extent of the influence I am placing upon your life. You may still view yourself through the limitations of yesterday, but I see you according to what I have established from the beginning. I am not limited by your current perspective, and your path ahead is not unwritten. I have already set each step in place. As it is written, before I formed you in the womb I knew you, I appointed you. Jeremiah 1:5. You are not wandering in uncertainty. You are walking within a plan long prepared. What I require from you is not flawless perfection, but a complete yes. When you say yes, you are not merely agreeing with me in words. You are opening the door for my flow to move through you. Look to Mary, when she heard the message of the angel and responded, I am the Lord's servant. May it be to me according to your word. Luke 1:38. In that yes, a purpose far beyond human understanding began to take form. So it is with you. Your yes can open what you cannot yet fully see. So, my beloved child, rise in the position I have given you. Do not stand there in hesitation like one still searching for a place. You already have your place. Walk with clarity, as one who knows what has been entrusted. For when you walk in obedience, you will discover that you do not need to strive to change everything by your own strength. Your obedience itself becomes the force that shifts what surrounds you. When you say yes, unseen currents begin to realign. When you step forward, doors that once seemed closed begin to open. And when you stand in your rightful place, you will witness something profound. Your presence becomes a point of intersection between heaven and earth, not because you are doing something extraordinary by the world's standards, but because you are exactly where I have called you to be, doing exactly what I have entrusted to you. Remain in that posture of obedience, my child, for I am not only leading you, I am working through you. And as you continue to walk in obedience, you will see what I have begun in you will not end with you, but will extend outward, touching and transforming many lives in ways you have not yet imagined. My beloved, I hear what you offer, not merely as sound, but from the depth of your soul opening before me. You do not come as a stranger, and I do not regard you as unknown. I saw you before you knew how to name yourself, and I receive this offering of yours as something true, uncovered, unadorned, and pure in its sincerity. As it is written, I, the Lord, search the heart and give to every man according to his ways. Jeremiah 17:10. And your heart, in this very moment, is turning toward me with a genuine desire to be transformed. You ask me to shape you, and I answer, I have been doing so, not only through gentle words, but through seasons you did not fully understand. I have touched the deepest places within you, not to wound you, but to make you real. For a steadfast heart is not one that has never been shaken, but one that has been formed by me through moments of trembling. As it is written, Humility comes before honor, Proverbs 15:33. And I am keeping you within that humility, so that when you are lifted up, you will not lose yourself. You ask for a heart that will not become proud when elevated, and not become fearful when facing trials. Understand this: these are not sustained by willpower, but by nearness to me. When you remain close to me, you will not need to strive for humility. You will naturally recognize that all things come from me. When you remain close to me, you will not need to force courage. You will know that you do not stand alone. I am with you. Do not be afraid. Isaiah 41:10. It is my presence that keeps you steady, not your own strength. You long to be renewed from within, and that is a prayer I gladly answer. For I do not only change your circumstances, I change who you are. I will give you a new heart and put a new spirit within you. Ezekiel 36:26. The renewal you seek does not come from striving to become better, but from allowing me to touch and transform you at the root. Remember David, who prayed as you are praying, "Create in me a clean heart," Psalm 51:10. He did not conceal his weakness, but brought it before me, and it was that honesty that opened the way for restoration. You see, I do not seek artificial perfection. I seek sincerity that can be transformed. Therefore, my beloved, continue to offer yourself as you are doing without holding back, without fear. I do not merely receive your prayer. I am already working within you. And as you keep walking, you will come to see that what you have asked for is not only given to you, but is gradually becoming part of who you are. Remain in me, and let me complete what I have begun. For the heart you offer today is the very ground into which I will sow new life, a life that does not originate from you, yet will grow through you, according to my will. My beloved, what you have just offered is not a fleeting desire, but a longing that reaches the very core of your life. You ask for a heart that does not become proud when lifted up, and does not tremble when facing trials. These are not separate streams, but two currents flowing from the same source, abiding in me. When you truly remain in me, you will no longer need to strive to keep yourself aligned. My presence itself will keep you in the right place. Understand this deeply. True humility is not you trying to lower yourself, but you seeing me as higher. When you see me rightly, you will no longer feel the need to elevate yourself or prove anything. As it is written, let the one who boasts, boast in the Lord, 1 Corinthians 1:31. When your heart is rightly positioned, everything else will come into order. You will not need to remind yourself to be humble. You will live in the awareness that all things come from me. In the same way, the courage you seek is not the absence of fear, but steadiness, even when fear still lingers. When you know that I am with you, fear no longer has authority to lead you. I am with you. Do not be afraid, for I am your God. Isaiah 41:10. You do not need to manufacture strength to move forward. You only need to remain within my presence. It is there that you are sustained. Remember Moses when he stood before the burning bush. He felt insufficient, unworthy, incapable. Yet I did not answer by making him strong in the way he expected. I simply said, I will be with you. Exodus 3:12. You see, the answer was not, you can, but I am with you. And when I am with you, what you thought impossible becomes possible. My beloved, I am not placing upon you the burden of keeping yourself right. I am inviting you to remain close to me. When you stay near, your heart will soften, your vision will be illuminated, and your steps will become steady. You will not need to choose between humility and courage. You will live in both, because you are living in me. So do not strive to achieve what you are asking for by your own effort. Come closer. Remain. Let me become the place where you dwell. not merely the place you visit in moments of need. Abide in me, and I in you, John 15:4. And as you abide in me, you will realize that you no longer have to try to become the person you desire. You are becoming the person I have already formed you to be. Hold this within your heart. My child, it is my presence that keeps you steady, not your effort. And as you walk in that awareness, you will stand not by your own strength, but because I am upholding you, step by step. My beloved, before you even realized it, the things that once felt like delays in your journey were in fact quietly shaping you for a far greater transition. There were places where you once stood with an unsettled heart, roles you once carried that felt as though they did not belong to you. Yet I did not allow you to remain there without purpose. I used each circumstance as a refining fire, where your character was sharpened, where your vision was expanded, where you learned to stand firm even when no one was watching. As it is written, whoever is faithful in very little is also faithful in much. Luke 16:10. You did not realize that those small things were accumulating into a foundation that no force could ever shake. And now, as the appointed time has come to fullness, I no longer keep you within those former limitations. It was not by chance that certain doors you knocked on did not open, nor was it without reason that you waited in silence without receiving an answer. I heard every prayer you whispered, yet I am not constrained by your urgency. I see farther and deeper, and I prepare for you what exceeds your imagination. For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways. Isaiah 55:8. So when you thought I was delaying, I was in truth arranging a path that, once opened, no one will be able to shut. You will witness changes that come like a rushing flood, not because you have mastered time, but because I have appointed the moment. Then you will understand that what I am leading you into is not merely a task for survival, but a position for influence. I am not bringing you to a place simply to follow, but to help shape what unfolds there. The abilities within you are not accidental, nor are they solely the product of your own striving. They are the imprint of preparation that I have formed within you through every season. As it is written, for the Lord gives wisdom. From his mouth come knowledge and understanding. Proverbs 2:6. It is I who have placed within you discernment, sharpness, and endurance, so that you will not only stand firm, but also lead in the environment you are about to enter. You are no longer one who is carried by circumstances. You will be one who influences them. Remember Joseph, who passed through years of being sold into slavery and confined in prison, as though his life had been buried in injustice. Yet it was in those dark places that I refined him for a position he could never have reached by an easy path. When the time came, I lifted him in a single moment from prisoner to ruler, from forgotten to one who determined the fate of a nation. God sent me before you to preserve life. Genesis 45:5. His words were not only forgiveness, but the recognition that everything that had happened was part of a greater design. So it is with you. What you have endured has not been wasted, it has been preparation. Therefore, do not view your career as a sequence of random opportunities. It is a guided journey, where every step carries meaning. I am not only changing your external circumstances, I am upgrading the way you think and the way you perceive your own worth. You no longer need permission from others to move forward, for I have placed within you a deep conviction that you have been entrusted. For I know the plans I have for you, plans for peace and not for evil, to give you a future and a hope. Jeremiah 29:11. So, as you step into this new phase, you do not walk as one who doubts, but as one who has been appointed for a purpose. There will be those who recognize what I have placed within you, and there will be places that open without you having to force your way in. You will be heard not because you strive to prove yourself, but because what you carry has weight. You will be entrusted not because you are perfect, but because you have proven your faithfulness in the unseen. As it is written, "Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over a little. I will set you over much." Matthew 25:21. Your reward is not a title, but the trust that is given to you. And when I give it, no authority can take it away. For it does not come from man, but from me. Therefore, prepare your heart not with anxiety, but with readiness. Let go of the old way you have seen yourself, for you are no longer at that level. Walk in peace, for I have gone before you. And when you step into the place I am leading you to, you will realize that everything you have gone through, every trial, every season of waiting, every closed door has been converging to bring you to the right place at the right time. You are not merely stepping into a new job. You are stepping into a new season, where your influence will expand, where your voice will carry weight, and where your life will become living evidence that I do not make mistakes in my plans. My beloved, there are paths you have walked that even you do not understand how you are still standing today. The days when you felt completely drained, the circumstances that made you think you could not take another step, were the very places where I was quietly strengthening your inner capacity. You saw your limitations as walls, but I saw them as door frames waiting to be opened. As it is written, we are hard-pressed on every side, yet not crushed, perplexed, but not in despair. 2 Corinthians 4:8. You have not been broken, you have been stretched to contain more. And when you step into the new season, you will look back and realize that what once exhausted you now feels like a light warm-up, because your capacity has increased beyond what you fully recognized. And it is not only endurance that I am forming in you, I am also aligning your direction with intention. You are no longer drifting among uncertain choices or undefined paths. Every encounter, every opportunity, every shift in this season is part of an ordered design. You may think you are meeting someone by chance, but I have positioned them at the right moment, in the right place, to become part of a greater picture. The heart of man plans his way, but the Lord establishes his steps. Proverbs 16:9. So you do not need to control everything. You only need to walk in trust. The people you are about to meet are not sent to cause you to stumble, but to connect you into what I am unfolding, a network not of coincidence, but of divine direction. Understand this clearly. What I am preparing for you is not built upon abilities that can be measured by the natural eye. It is founded upon the anointing I placed within you long before you recognized yourself. That is why you once felt out of place, as though you did not fully belong where you were. It was not a deficiency within you, but a sign that you had outgrown the limits of your former environment. As it is written, the Spirit of the Lord God is upon me. He has sent me to proclaim liberty to the captives. Isaiah 61:1. The anointing is not merely a feeling, it is an assignment. And wherever there is not enough room for that assignment, you will always feel constrained. So when I lead you out of what is familiar, you may think you have been placed into emptiness. But in truth, you are being positioned into a space you have long been prepared to enter. Remember David when he was still an unknown shepherd. No one saw him beyond the open fields. No one imagined that he would one day stand before kings. Yet it was in that hidden place that I taught him how to face lions and bears, how to remain faithful when no one was watching. And when he stepped forward to confront Goliath, what he carried was not recklessness, but the outcome of a process formed in secrecy. As it is written, the Lord does not see as man sees. Man looks on the outward appearance, but the Lord looks on the heart. 1 Samuel 16:7. So when I choose, I do not rely on the standards of the world. So it is with you. What you have gone through has not been a series of small, disconnected preparations. It has been a process positioning you for a role in which you will no longer simply follow, but influence and shape. And as you step into this phase, you will recognize a distinct shift in the connections around you. I am not bringing you into places filled with many people. I am bringing you into places with the right people. Those who appear in this season will carry vision, carry standards, carry a sharpness that aligns with what you are entering. This is not isolation, it is refinement. I am removing connections that scatter your focus, so that you remain aligned with your primary direction. As it is written, "Can two walk together unless they are agreed?" Amos 3:3. So, I am rearranging relationships so they do not dilute your energy, but instead strengthen your assignment. Therefore, do not be afraid when you find yourself separated from what is familiar, and do not doubt when you sense a deep movement within you that you cannot yet fully name. These are signs of expansion, of transition, of a step forward that I have already appointed. You no longer walk as one striving to hold on to a position. You walk as one entrusted to create influence. And in every step, you will see that I do not merely lead you, I walk with you, adjusting every detail, aligning every connection, so that all things come together into a clear, steady, and powerful path, where you do not simply exist, but truly shape the environment into which you have been placed. My beloved, from this very moment, you will begin to sense a profound shift in the way you perceive yourself and the path you are walking. Old thoughts that once confined you, limits you, once accepted as inevitable, will no longer have a place. I am raising the standard within your mind, not through pressure, but through revelation. I am expanding your desires so that you are no longer satisfied with what merely sustains you. And I am stretching your vision beyond what you once considered reasonable. As it is written, "Be transformed by the renewing of your mind." Romans 12:2. This is not first an outward change, but an inner restructuring, where you no longer see your work as a place to receive, but as a place to which you are sent to give. Therefore, you will begin to notice a difference in the way you carry yourself. Spaces you once entered with hesitation, you will now enter with a quiet weight, not arrogance, but an awareness that you carry an atmosphere not derived from man. You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden. Matthew 5:14. So you will no longer withdraw into the shadows of doubt. When you speak, your words are not merely sound, they carry formation. When you decide, it is not merely a personal choice, it is an intervention into the flow of circumstances. You will no longer see yourself as small within meetings or projects. You will recognize that you have been placed there as a pivot point, a place where direction can be shifted. And this will not manifest through striving to prove yourself, but through a natural alignment that comes from me. The systems you once had to adapt to in order to survive will begin to adjust to your presence, not because you force them, but because I have placed weight upon you. As it is written, "The king's heart is in the hand of the Lord. He directs it like a watercourse wherever he pleases." Proverbs 21:1. So do not be surprised when those who were once rigid become receptive, when decisions that were delayed are suddenly approved, when doors that were once closed open on their own. This is not luck, it is a sign that I stand behind you, testifying for you in ways no explanation of yours could accomplish. You will clearly sense that what once required intense effort now becomes light and aligned, not because the environment has become easier, but because you have been elevated to another level. As it is written, "Not by might, nor by power, but by my Spirit." Zechariah 4:6. What you are witnessing is not the result of natural ability, but the operation of the anointing. I am placing upon you a sensitivity that allows you to see what others overlook, a sense of timing that enables you to act while others hesitate, and a peace that keeps you steady when others waver. Remember Esther, who at first was simply a young woman among many others, without a distinguished position or visible authority, yet I placed her in the right place at the right time. And when the moment came, she no longer acted as one carried by circumstances, but as one who understood her role within a greater plan. And who knows whether you have come to the kingdom for such a time as this? Esther 4:14. Those words were not only for her, but they are the words I now place within you. You are not in your current position by chance. You have been placed there to shape what others cannot yet perceive. Therefore, prepare yourself to operate in a new way. You will no longer make decisions driven by the fear of being wrong, for fear is no longer your source of guidance. Instead, you will act with discernment, a knowing that cannot always be explained by reason, yet consistently leads to the right outcome at the right time. You will no longer confine yourself to what you have previously experienced, because past experience is no longer sufficient to contain what I am unveiling. As it is written, what no eye has seen, no ear has heard, God has prepared for those who love Him. 1 Corinthians 2:9. So you cannot measure a new future with an old framework. And in this transformation, you will become one who sets the rhythm, not one who chases after it. You will be the one who provides direction when others are still searching, the one who carries solutions while others remain focused on problems, the one who discerns the moment while others are still waiting for a sign. Not because you have become more perfect, but because you have become more aligned with me. And as you walk in that alignment, you will see everything around you begin to rearrange, not to exalt you, but to fulfill what I have ordained. So do not return to your former way of thinking, and do not try to shrink yourself to fit patterns that have already passed. You have been expanded, and that expansion is irreversible. Walk with steadiness, not because you understand everything, but because you know the one who leads you. And as you continue forward, you will see that it is I who establishes your steps, who opens the way before you, and who makes you a living instrument through which light, strategy, wisdom, and life from heaven flow to touch every system you enter. My beloved, there have been moments when you thought I was silent, as though the heavens had closed and no answer was being given. Yet that silence is not emptiness. It is the place where I work in depths your eyes cannot reach. I do not move according to your urgency, for I see what follows each step you take. As it is written, the Lord waits to be gracious to you. Isaiah 30:18. My waiting is not delay, but preparation carried out with precise intention. When you think you have been paused, you are in truth being held within a process of refinement where every inner layer is deepened, compressed, and strengthened to bear the weight of what is greater. And just as a wise builder never raises the roof while the foundation is still weak, I will not bring you into higher places while your inner structure remains unsteady. The things you called limitations, the fears you tried to conceal, the impulsive reactions that once caused you to falter, I have been touching them in the quiet of the previous season. I do not expose you to the light while the foundation is incomplete, for success that comes too early can become a weight that crushes you. The house built on the rock stands firm against the storm. Matthew 7:25. So I have chosen to build you upon the rock, not upon the shifting sand of emotion or temporary confidence. What I am doing is not to hold you back, but to ensure that when you move forward, you will not be shaken by what I place in your hands. You may have looked at your journey and thought you were falling behind, that others were advancing while you remained in place. Yet you do not see the full picture I am forming. I do not measure you by the pace of others. I shape you according to the purpose I have set within you. The Lord does not see as man sees. 1 Samuel 16:7. So where others perceive stagnation, I see growth unfolding in depth, and it is that depth which will determine the height at which you will be able to stand firmly in the days ahead. Remember David, who spent long days in the fields, where there was no applause, no recognition, only solitude and quiet responsibility. To many, it appeared to be a place of missed opportunity, a position without promise. But I did not place him there to waste time. I placed him there to teach him what the battlefield could never teach: faithfulness when unseen, courage when facing danger without an audience, and trust when there was no one else to rely on. When he faced the lion and the bear, those were not merely battles for survival, they were lessons in authority and stability. And when he stood before Goliath, he did not fight as a beginner, he fought as one trained in secrecy. The Lord who delivered me from the paw of the lion and the paw of the bear will deliver me from the hand of this Philistine. 1 Samuel 17:37. Those words did not come from recklessness, but from experience that had been refined. So it is with you what you have gone through in the previous season. The battles no one saw, the tears no one knew, the moments you rose when you had no strength left, all of it has been training. You were not left behind in the fields of your life. You were being prepared for a throne you could not yet clearly see. I did not rush to bring you into the light before you were ready to stand firmly in that place. For if I had placed you in a higher position while your foundation was still weak, you would have had to carry a weight beyond your capacity. Therefore, look back at that season of silence with a different perspective. It was not my absence, but my deepest presence in your life. I was there, touching the places you did not dare to face, healing what you had not yet found words for, and reshaping the way you respond to pressure. I turned weaknesses into anchors, fears into lessons, and failures into foundations. As it is written, after you have suffered a little while, the God of all grace will restore you and make you strong, firm and steadfast. 1 Peter 5:10. So, what you have gone through is not loss, it is completion. So do not fear delay, and do not doubt when you do not see results immediately. What I am building in you carries lasting value, not something temporary. When the time comes, you will not merely step into opportunity, you will step into it with a steadiness that prevents you from being swept away. And in that moment, you will understand that every silence before was not meaningless. It was the laying of foundational stones in their proper place, so that when I build what is new, it will stand firm through every test. You have not been left behind. You are being brought to the right place, at the right time, with an inner strength I have carefully and lovingly prepared. My beloved, I see the moments when you question whether you are enough to step into what is opening before you, and I do not condemn you for those thoughts. But you must understand this clearly, that fear is not the voice of truth. It is only the echo of the seasons you have already passed through. I have never prepared a door without also preparing you to walk through it. I do not lead you into unfamiliar territory without prior training. As it is written, "Blessed be the Lord, who trains my hands for war and my fingers for battle." Psalm 144:1. Every experience you have had, whether joyful or difficult, has been an exercise preparing you to operate in what you are about to receive. You once thought you were being slowed down, that the years had not progressed as quickly as you expected. But I do not see time the way you do. I do not measure by speed. I measure by readiness. There are things that, if they had come earlier, would not have been a blessing but a burden. Therefore, I kept you in the necessary seasons not to restrain you, but to protect you from the pressure of what you were not yet ready to carry, To everything there is a season, a time for every purpose under heaven. Ecclesiastes 3:1. So what appears as slowing down is not meaningless delay, it is precise timing. Look at Joseph, not merely as one who was elevated, but as one who was prepared. Before he stood in the palace, he learned to govern in lowly places, learned to remain faithful when treated unjustly, learned to discern in environments where there was no light. And when the moment came, he did not enter his new role with confusion, but with a steadiness that had already been formed. God sent me before you to preserve life. Genesis 45:5. Those words were not only an explanation of the past, but a confirmation that everything he had endured served a greater purpose. So it is with you when the door opens. You will not merely encounter opportunity, you will operate within it with the wisdom I have long placed inside you. Therefore, change the way you perceive your journey. Do not continue asking, "Why was I held back?" but begin to recognize that I held you at the right time to prepare you for what is right. Slowing down is not punishment, it is formation. And now, as I begin to shift the season, you must not carry the mindset of lack into what is ahead. You do not enter this phase as one striving to prove your worth, but as one who has already been fully equipped. As it is written, His divine power has given us everything we need for life and godliness. 2 Peter 1:3. So you lack nothing required to fulfill what I have entrusted to you. Then you will see that what once seemed closed will begin to open naturally. Not because circumstances have changed on their own, but because you have been transformed to align with the appointed time. The doors that were once silent were not rejecting you. They were waiting for you to become the version I had intended. And when you arrive, they will open without force. I have set before you an open door that no one can shut. Revelation 3:8. This is not a distant promise. It is a reality you are about to encounter. Yet in the midst of all this, guard your heart in humility. Do not allow progress to cause you to forget the one who laid the foundation for every step. What is coming is not the result of your effort alone, but the result of your partnership with me, not by might nor by power, but by my Spirit. Zechariah 4:6. So when you understand this, you will not be burdened by the pressure to sustain success through your own strength. Instead, you will walk in peace, knowing that I am the one who sustains what I have begun. And when you live within that awareness, success will no longer feel like a burden, but like a flow, a place where you reflect my glory without striving. You will not be consumed with the need to prove yourself, because my presence within you is already the testimony. You will not be pressured to control everything, because you will know that I am guiding every detail. And in all of this, you will come to understand something profound. You are not merely stepping into a new season, you are stepping into a new partnership, where everything you do is no longer a solitary effort, but a union between you and me, between your capacity and my power, to accomplish what you could never do alone. My beloved, you will not need to guess at this shift, for you will feel it through tangible experience in the new environments you enter. What once demanded intense effort, strained conversations, delayed processes, barriers that seemed impossible to overcome, will begin to realign on their own in a way you do not have to force. Not because the environment has suddenly become easier, but because an unseen authority is going before you and resting upon you. Those who were once rigid will become open, not because you have changed them, but because the atmosphere around you is changing them. As it is written, when a man's ways please the Lord, he makes even his enemies to be at peace with him. Proverbs 16:7. And you will see that this is no longer a distant promise, but a present reality unfolding day by day. There were processes that once dragged on in stagnation, yet now they will accelerate as though an invisible resistance has been removed. Barriers you once thought immovable will begin to show cracks, not by your own strength, but by the authority I have placed upon your life. As when I positioned Joseph before Pharaoh, he did not need many words to prove himself. One revelation was enough to cause an entire court to bow. Can we find anyone like this man? One in whom is the Spirit of God. Genesis 41:38. That question was not only about Joseph, it is the mark of one I have placed in the right position. So it will be with you. You will step into spaces where your very presence creates movement. Not because you strive to impress, but because what you carry has weight. Yet, alongside this momentum, you must be ready for something deeper. I am bringing you into a dimension where old thinking cannot remain. The ways you once thought, analyzed, and reacted, though they brought you this far, will not be sufficient to take you further. Do not remember the former things. Behold, I am doing a new thing. Isaiah 43:18-19. So, you cannot carry old frameworks into new spaces. I am upgrading how you perceive problems. You will no longer see only the surface, but the underlying structure. I am teaching you to read context, not merely through data, but through the unseen current operating beneath it. And I am reshaping how you make decisions, no longer driven by the fear of being wrong, but guided by discernment that comes from me. You will begin to notice that there are moments when you know what to do before your reasoning can explain it. This is not recklessness, it is alignment. If any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask of God, and it will be given. James 1:5. And I am not giving sparingly. I am pouring upon you a flow of wisdom that carries you beyond the limits of past experience. You are no longer confined to what you have seen or done before. You operate in the light of what I am revealing. And in that light, you will perceive solutions others cannot see. Discern timing others miss, and act with a precision that confirms within you that it does not originate from yourself. So do not fear when you find yourself releasing familiar ways of thinking. This is not loss, it is expansion. I do not remove the old unless I am giving something greater. And as you walk in this transformation, you will no longer feel as though you are striving to keep up with circumstances. Instead, you will recognize that you are moving ahead of the rhythm that you have been positioned to shape direction, not merely react to it. Keep your heart soft toward my instruction and steady in my leading. What I am doing is not only changing the environment around you, but transforming how you function within every environment. And when these two converge, a renewed person and an aligned space, you will see a new reality unfold, where each step you take is no longer uncertain, but directed, authoritative, and affirmed by me, my beloved. What is opening before you is not merely a step forward in your work, but a sacred establishment, a mark that comes from me, independent of human opinion and unshaken by human interference. When I place my hand upon a life, that establishment does not remain at the surface. It reaches into the very core of how that life functions. I do not simply change external position, I restructure internal nature. For I know that if position is elevated without character being formed, what is given will become a burden. Therefore, I always move according to the order of heaven. I build the inner life first, and only then do I entrust authority. As it is written, guard your heart with all diligence, for from it flow the springs of life. Proverbs 4:23. So what I do within you is not first for others to see, but so that you may stand firm when they begin to see. The years you have walked through, the seasons that seem to slow down, the silences without explanation, the trials that caused you to question yourself were not wasted stretches of the road. They were the process I used to prepare your soul for a higher dimension that, had it come too early, you would not have been able to sustain. I have touched the hidden corners you were afraid to face, reshaped your instinctive reactions, and taught you how to stand firm without recognition. And through all of this, I did not act in haste. As it is written, after you have suffered a little while, the God of all grace will restore you and make you strong, firm, and steadfast. 1 Peter 5:10. So what you once perceived as delay was in truth completion unfolding in depth. Remember David when he was anointed. No one in his family thought of him. He was not standing in the center of the house, not near the places of visibility. He was out in the fields among the sheep. Yet it was there that I chose him. The Lord does not see as man sees. Man looks on the outward appearance, but the Lord looks on the heart. 1 Samuel 16:7. So my anointing is not based on what has been recognized, but on what I have already placed within. And what is remarkable is this: after being anointed, David did not immediately ascend to the throne. He returned to the fields, continuing as before, yet within him something had irrevocably changed. The establishment took place in the unseen before it was revealed in reality. So it is with you. You have been prepared before you are seen. Therefore, when I bring you into a new level, you will not be overwhelmed by its weight. Instead, you will feel a deep alignment, a sense of familiarity that reason cannot fully explain. This is not pride, but resonance between what I have formed within you and the environment I am now opening. As it is written, He has made everything beautiful in its time, Ecclesiastes 3:11. So, when the appointed moment and the prepared person meet within my design, there is no dissonance, only harmony. You will step into new spaces without the same trembling you once felt, because your soul has been activated at another level. What once required effort to adapt will now feel natural, not because the environment has become easier, but because you have been transformed to fit what is higher. You will look around and sense as though the place has been waiting for you, not because you arrived late, but because you arrived on time. I have called you by your name, for you are mine, Isaiah 45:4. So your steps are not accidental. They are the response to a calling that was already set in motion. So do not doubt yourself when everything begins to align naturally. Do not assume it is mere luck or coincidence. It is the sign of an appointment already completed in the unseen and now being manifested in reality. You do not need to prove that you are worthy, for what I have placed upon you is itself the confirmation. You do not need to strive to hold your position, for I am the one who has placed you there. Walk forward with peace and humility, for you know that what you carry does not originate from yourself. And when you keep that posture of heart, you will not only stand firm in the new position, but you will also operate within it with a natural authority that no one can take away. For what I establish in you is not temporary, it is part of a long unfolding design, where you do not merely exist, but truly become one entrusted to carry light and shape the environments you enter. My beloved, before you step further into the doors, now opening wide, I want you to pause in a deep moment, not to delay, but to realign. I never elevate a person while allowing their heart to drift from the source of life. Every advancement that is not anchored in turning toward me will eventually become pressure. And every influence that is not placed under my light will easily drift from its original purpose. As it is written, trust in the Lord with all your heart, and do not lean on your own understanding. Proverbs 3:5. So what I seek in you is not merely the ability to function, but a heart that knows how to return to the right direction. When you stand before new spaces, when you prepare to speak within conversations that carry influence, I do not want you to rely only on the confidence of one who has been entrusted. I want you to carry the peace of one who knows they are being held. Confidence may fluctuate with circumstances, but the peace that comes from me is unshakable. The peace of God will guard your hearts and your minds Philippians 4:7. And that peace will become the foundation upon which you stand firm amid pressures you have never faced before. I am not calling you to walk as one who has already arrived at perfection, but as one who keeps a tender and responsive heart. Do not let what I am doing through you make you hardened or confident to the point of forgetting your source. The more you are entrusted with, the more you must remain closely joined to me. Abide in me, for apart from me you can do nothing. John 15:4-5. So everything you do will remain rightly aligned, only as it flows from an ongoing connection with me. Therefore, I do not only invite you to act, I invite you to return. Return to the deepest place within you, where there are no roles, no titles, no pressure to perform. There, you do not need to be strong, you only need to be real. I am not seeking polished prayers, I am listening for a truthful heart. The Lord is near to the brokenhearted, Psalm 34-18. So you do not need to hide anything when you come before me. Let your heart open, like a stream finding its source. Speak to me the things you have never spoken. Express the desires you have long held in silence. Do not confine your prayer within rigid forms. For what exists between you and me is not a ritual, it is life. And within that flow, you will rediscover direction not through striving, but through clarity that arises from my presence. When you pray in this way, you will come to realize something. The higher realms I am opening before you do not cause you to lose your direction. They simply require you to anchor more deeply. And prayer is that anchor. It does not hold you back. It keeps you aligned as you move forward. As it is written, pray without ceasing, 1 Thessalonians 5:17. Not because I need to hear, but because you need to remain within the unbroken flow of connection. So come to me not as one searching to receive something, but as one returning to where you belong. And from that place, when you step forward, you will not walk alone. You will carry my presence in every word, every decision, every step, and in all things. You will not only maintain direction, you will become a living current, where every influence you carry reflects its true source, me. My beloved, let every layer you have worn begin to fall away as you stand before me. For I do not require a perfected image, I desire a truthful heart. Just as a stream cannot cease its flow once it has found its source, so your heart should not restrain what rises from its depths. You have held many things in silence, grown accustomed to hiding desires not yet spoken, fears not yet named, dreams you have hesitated to believe could become real. But I am here not to judge, but to listen. Before they call, I will answer while they are yet speaking. I will hear Isaiah 65:24. So nothing within you is unknown to me. My beloved, when I open a new dimension before you, you will not enter it with the disorientation or overwhelm you once feared. Instead, what you will experience is a deep harmony, a sense as though you have belonged there all along, even if your mind cannot explain it. This is not illusion, nor is it pride arising within you. It is the resonance between what I have quietly formed within you and the space I am intentionally opening before you. For you see, I do not bring you into anything for which you have not already been prepared. I do not place you where your soul cannot stand. Every experience you have walked through, every trial you have endured, every season that felt delayed, each has been a layer I have laid within you. And now, as you step forward, you are no longer who you once were. As it is written, He has made everything beautiful in its time, Ecclesiastes 3:11. So the rightness of the moment is not only found in external circumstances, but in the maturity formed within you. Therefore, when the time I have appointed meets the person I have prepared, there will be no mismatch. no strain, no sense of inadequacy. Instead, there will be a remarkable alignment like two parts of a design, fitting perfectly into place. You will enter new spaces and perceive something unmistakable. You are not striving to adapt to them. They seem already prepared to receive you. This does not come from your effort, but from my precise orchestration. You will begin to see that what once required prolonged deliberation now becomes clear. Decisions that once caused hesitation will now come with certainty, not because you suddenly know everything, but because you are operating in alignment with me. When you are in the right place at the right time, peace becomes the confirming sign. As it is written, "Let the peace of Christ rule in your hearts," Colossians 3:15. And that very peace will speak to you, affirming that you are in the right place, at the right moment, and within the right role. So do not doubt yourself when you feel an unexpected sense of belonging within what is new. Do not assume that you are being overly confident or moving too quickly. If it comes with peace and clarity, it is not haste, it is harmony. For I do not work in confusion, I work in order. And when you walk within that order, you will not need to force yourself to become worthy. You will simply recognize that you were appointed to be there. My beloved, what I am doing is not merely opening an opportunity, but positioning you within your rightful place in a greater design. And when you stand in that place, you will no longer feel as though you are striving to belong. You will know that you have always belonged. For wherever I place you, there is alignment. There is no dissonance, no confusion, only a steady and gentle flow, where you move not by strained effort, but by a deep resonance between you and my will. Open your heart like a door without bolts, and allow every thought, every emotion, every desire to flow freely. Do not fear that your words are not refined or complete, for I do not measure by eloquence, I look at sincerity. There are things you cannot fully articulate, yet I understand them, for I hear even your sighs in the silence between your words. The Spirit Himself intercedes for us with groanings too deep for words, Romans 8:26. So, even when you do not know what to say, you are still being heard. In that flow, you will realize that you no longer need to strive to find direction. You do not need to force yourself to understand everything before you move. When you remain in my presence, clarity will come naturally, like light gradually spreading as darkness recedes. Your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path, Psalm 119-105. So, direction is not something you must create. It is something revealed as you draw near to me. And as you open your heart in this way, you will feel a peace settling into every corner of your soul, a peace that does not come from every problem being immediately resolved, but from knowing that you no longer carry them alone. You will see what once confused you becoming clear, and burdens that once weighed heavily becoming lighter. Cast all your anxiety on Him, because He cares for you, 1 Peter 5-7. So you do not need to hold anything back. My beloved, prayer is not a duty you must fulfill. It is the breath of the relationship between you and me. When you pray, you are not merely speaking, you are returning to the place where you are known, understood, and loved without condition. And in that returning, you will rediscover yourself, not a version shaped by pressure or fear, but the true person I formed from the beginning. So open your heart, speak freely, let everything flow without the need to control it. For within that very flow, I am touching you, realigning you, and leading you along a path where you no longer have to grope in uncertainty. And as you move forward from that place, you will not walk in confusion. You will walk with clarity, with lightness, and with a deep assurance that you are walking with me, step by step. My beloved, what is opening before you is not merely a doorway of opportunity, but a positioning of your life within a greater whole, a design in which every detail has already been considered by me. When you step into that place, you will no longer carry the tension of striving to prove yourself or forcing your way to belong. Instead, you will discover a quiet peace, as though you have always belonged there, and only now have truly arrived. This does not arise from human confidence, but from the silent confirmation I place within your heart. As it is written, "It is He who made us, and we are His." Psalm 103. So that sense of belonging is not something you create, it is something you uncover when you stand in the place I have ordained. You will no longer be pulled back and forth by doubt, nor dominated by the question, "Am I enough?" When you stand in the right position, those questions lose their weight, not because you have become perfect, but because you have been aligned in the right order. God is not a God of confusion, but of peace. 1 Corinthians 14:33. So, where I place you will not be filled with disorder, but will carry a flow that is clear, steady, and secure. Within that flow, you will begin to sense a new rhythm, not the rhythm of urgency or pressure, but the rhythm of alignment. You will not need to chase circumstances to keep up, nor pause out of fear of making mistakes. You will move in a natural coordination between what I am doing and what you are carrying out. As it is written, "The heart of man plans his way, but the Lord establishes his steps." Proverbs 16:9. So your steps are no longer uncertain, they are guided. And in that alignment, you will discover that strained effort is no longer the way you operate. Not because you cease to work, but because you are no longer working alone. When you walk within my will, the weight of needing to get everything right is replaced by the lightness of walking in what is right. This does not make you passive, it makes you precise. You no longer expend energy resisting the current, but move with it, so that every action you take becomes more effective and meaningful. My beloved, trust that wherever I place you, there is harmony. There is no dissonance between you and the environment when both are within my design. There is no confusion when I am the one arranging it. What you are stepping into is not an experiment, but the completion of what I have been forming within you all along. All things work together for good to those who love God. Romans 8:28. So every fragment of your journey is now converging at this appointed moment. Therefore, walk with steadiness. Do not return to the mindset of one searching for a place to belong. You do not need to search. You have already been positioned. And as you walk in that awareness, you will see something clearly. You are not only in the right place, but you are moving in the right direction, not by your own striving, but by a deep alignment between you and my will, a gentle yet unstoppable current carrying you further, deeper, and more precisely each day. My beloved, lift your head and let your vision rise beyond what has been familiar. For what I am opening before you is no longer a series of isolated doors. I am opening corridors, pathways that connect, and more than that, I am opening an entire level where you will not merely enter, but move freely within it. This is no longer partial access. It is expansive release. As it is written, "Enlarge the place of your tent. Do not hold back." Isaiah 54:2. I am stretching the space you can inhabit, not to overwhelm you, but to reveal that your capacity has already been prepared to contain far more than you once imagined. When you step into these new rooms, you will be surprised not by their unfamiliarity, but by a deep sense of recognition rising within you. You will no longer feel like an outsider trying to understand how things work, but like one who was always meant to be there. This does not come from natural experience, but from what I have formed within you through every season. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Jeremiah 1:5. So what you are entering is not unexpected to me. It is part of the purpose I placed within you from the beginning. You will stand within spheres you once never imagined you could touch, spaces of influence, of strategy, of leadership. Yet you will not feel the pressure to prove your worth, because you are not entering by your own effort, but by my confirmation. As it is written, the Lord himself goes before you. He will not leave you or forsake you. Deuteronomy 31:8. So every step you take has already been prepared. You are not testing your chances. You are responding to a calling already appointed. And within these spaces, you will not function as one merely learning, but as one carrying something to contribute. You will see that everything you have learned, endured, and gathered, though it once seemed scattered, now converges into a meaningful flow. The abilities you thought were small will become instruments through which you influence at a greater scale. I will give you a new heart and put my spirit within you. Ezekiel 36:26-27. So the way you operate is no longer confined by former frameworks. You are moving from inner transformation to outward expression. Do not be surprised when you realize that you no longer need to strive to belong. You do not need to reshape yourself to fit the environment, because the environment itself has been opened to align with what I have placed within you. This is not coincidence, it is harmony. When you are rightly positioned, everything around you begins to respond naturally, not forced, not chaotic, but clear and ordered. God is not a God of confusion, but of peace. 1 Corinthians 14:33. So wherever I place you, there will be stability within the flow. So do not shrink back when you see this expansion. Do not assume you are moving too far or too fast. If I am the one opening, then you are the one appointed to enter. Let your heart remain ready, not through tension, but through trust. And as you walk, you will realize that what I am doing is not merely changing your position, but bringing you into a new realm where you no longer move from door to door, but dwell within an open expanse, where every step carries the affirmation, you were created to be there.